Hey, good morning, guys. Thank you so much for tuning into the TFG, the Financial Grill. My name's Alanta. We're here today just sharing stories, expiring, giving you guys actionable steps on what to take to bring you to your whole full financial wellness life. Again, my name's Alanta. I'm here with my lovely co-hosts, Miss Lovely and Lawrence. What's going on your end?
Oh, nothing much, nothing much. I'm actually enjoying this another day of recording. And the fact that her name is Lovely, we did not make it up. It's her actual real name. And I also go by the neighborhood finance guy on Instagram as well as IG and the Twitters. I guess IG is Instagram. You know what? It's all types of messed up. Ultimately, thanks for being here. We talk about money, talk about life, we share our stories, and just give you some good antidotes so you can actually learn, grow from. So thanks again for being here, and let's get started. Lovely, what's up with you?
Hey everyone, my name is Lovely Mordelis. I am a consultant. I run a business and I'm doing other things that you guys will hear about soon, like writing. So there will be a book. I've committed myself to that. That's a big deal. So you'll hear about it. It'll be really good. I want to talk about my life experiences, the things that I've overcome, and in hopes to inspire other people to not let their life be defined by the things that happen to them, but take a hold of their life decisions so that they can live the life that God had always intended them for them to live. So that's my small, short, long, whatever you want to call it, intro. But today's episode, I actually want to talk about it because I was in the group, and usually I'm responsible for making sure we have good schedules, making sure that we actually show up and do these things, even though it's for fun. Like, you probably have to schedule them and, show up for it to happen. But like, I've been doing a lot and also removing a lot from my plate. So we wanted to talk today about what happens when you kind of have to plow through, even when you're off of your game, because typically what would have happened years ago is I would have hit a wall and I would have just quit. I've been like, you know what? This ain't for me. I'm not doing any of this. This is too much headache. And I would have took the easier route. But what I had to learn over the course of life is that every time you take the easier route, you're actually eating into your destiny. You're eating into your purpose because you're not fully being there. Now, I'm not talking about being burnt out, because when you're burnt out, I have gotten rest. Like, so I've taken, like, this last weekend, for example, I took all Friday and I rested. I took majority of Saturday and I rested. Those were moments of like, I need a recharge, but I'm not quitting or not pivoting because it's hard. Because if you're always escaping the hard stuff, how do you grow? If the weights that you're lifting essentially are always light, your muscles don't change. You'll still be going to the gym, but you won't really see any dynamic change in your muscles, because guess what? Resistance is needed for you to have development of growth. And so now that I have resistance, there's three questions that I'm always asking. Is this resistance because I'm going about it wrong? Is this resistance because there's something I need to learn? Or is this resistance because it's just life things? Like, if you have a car and your tires pop and you're like, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing. Like, you should have already been budgeting for these type of things, because it's a car and you're driving it. There's a possibility that something will go wrong. Those are just life things. Those are just things that happen. But then there's resistance because you're going about it the wrong way. And there's also resistance because you are just going to have to go through this so that you can get to the next level. And so that's how I identify it. And so we literally had to close some accounts in our business. We had to shift some things. And then I was getting all these emails like, hey, this is going on. This is going on. And I had to address them. They're not things that I'm afraid of. They're not things that make me whimper or cry. I don't got time for that. I have to be focused and precise on what I'm doing. But then they were just like figuring out what are the next phases of life. So one of the biggest things that I had to realize for myself is like, hey, when you're off your game, don't be afraid to say, guys, I'm off my freaking game. So bear with me. I'm going to be vulnerable about it. I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, you're going to judge me and think, I don't give a damn. I'm going to tell you what's going on so that I can make the adjustments.
Well, damn, don't hold back there.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm not holding back, because I think people need to hear that. I think especially for women, we have this superwoman complex. And the moment that you feel like you're not perfect, you stop and you self-sabotage and you don't show up, which is unnecessary. I rather, talk, hey guys, I'm off my game. I got things that need to be handled. And this doesn't come as priority number one. I have to shift my priorities this week in the next couple of weeks so that I can get the things that I need to get done. And I'm mentioning this because I wasn't always like that. literally it would have brought me to a point of just saying, well, maybe God doesn't want me to do that. And no, it's maybe God is trying to teach you to grow up and to do more. And maybe you need to take a rest and a pause to see what are you giving. And I've switched my mind to time management to really energy management. You can be managing your time and have a great schedule, but you're putting your energies in things that's not helping you grow. I'm going to be done with my rant because I can go on forever because I've been really meditating on this, but I'm going to let everybody else talk about what do you do when you're off your game? What do you do? Like, let's say you've been budgeting and all of a sudden this month you went $1,000, $2,000 over. How do you get back on track? Because I think sometimes we just like, oh, I made a mistake and we just never go back again. We never try to do it again. So let's just address this. But welcome to the Financial Griot podcast.
Woo!
Yeah, Alana, you about to get this?
Go ahead, Lauren.
Well, yeah, that's a lot. I think, especially as young millennials now, we're in that moment in time in our lifetime where we're growing up, we got the job, we might have the significant other, we might be married or starting having kids. All of that starts pounding on each other, right? Going to work, pandemic, going back to work, not going back to work, vaccine, not vaccine, retirement, your parents' retirement, something, all of it got to give. And eventually a lot of people become burnt out. And you're right about that. A lot of people, when they hit those walls, they either quit or they just kind of they shutter themselves into a wall, or they're kind of like my friends who hit me up and they literally tell me, oh yeah, you got all the time in the world. Like, I don't have all the time in the world. We all have the same amount of time in the world. That's 24 hours a day. Unless you're dying, you're dead or whatever it is, you have a chance to do something with your 24 hours. Maybe 8 of that is sleep. And we cut that out. Maybe 10, maybe another 2 of that is just you kind of, repivoting. So you got 14. Even if I give you an extra like 4, you got 10 hours in which you can actually do something for yourself and actually move forward, or even consider maybe you're doing this all wrong, right? Maybe you're burning yourself out because you're being completely ineffective and inefficient, and maybe you do need the help. Like, sometimes you have to outsource the task, or sometimes you have to, think outside the box. Sometimes, even though I say, you do have to do your research and understand yourself, but part of the struggle too, maybe you do need a coach. Maybe you do need a mentor or somebody to really guide you through the process. And maybe somebody needs to tell you, maybe you're just busy wasting your time on a lot of things. Because for a lot of people, it's about to be the 4th quarter of 2021, and they were busy doing nothing all 2021. That's basically what it ends up being. Like, every year comes back, it's like, I'm going to get back on the ball, but you were busy doing a lot of nothing and you're burning yourself out. And that's why I like what Lovely said. Like, sometimes you have to take a step back, really assess, am I doing this the correct way? Am I going about it the correct way? Because that might also be the problem. And maybe sometimes you have to go through this pressure moment to become the diamond, in that rock. So that's the only way you get cut. That's the only way the iron sharpens iron. Those little phrases and statements that we love to hear is because people are pushing themselves into a corner. Like, I've hit a mental block this week about writing a couple articles, but I sat my behind in front of the computer anyways until something has to give. At some point, I'm gonna have to start writing. And sometimes it's just not going to come easy for you. So for me, I know that wall when it happens, but ultimately you still got to put in the work and you still got to move forward. And instead of moving back or just not moving at all. Alana, what you got?
Yeah, you guys really made some great points. I'm not sure what I can add to that as well, but
HBCU. That's why you went to HBCU.
Here we go.
What is an HBCU anyways? Just so I don't know what that is.
Here we go with this. No, I mean, I will say too, like, I'm always trying to give myself some grace as well, because burnout is real. I've been through it multiple times throughout my life, my adulthood, recently going back to work, getting the vaccine. I had to get the flu vaccine since we're currently in the office, and there's in talks of getting the booster shot. So there's a lot of injections going on for my employment. Right. So, but we have to understand that we have to kind of adapt with the life that is around us, and also create the life that we want as well within that. If we can do so, we do have the power to do so. Like Lawrence mentioned, we all have 24 hours in a day, and most times, I'm chilling and relaxing because I'm always trying to recalibrate and do things when I feel in the mood of doing it. I will say that for myself, if I don't feel like recording my YouTube, then I won't do it. If I feel like doing editing, then I'll just jump into a video that I previously did and start editing, right? So, but I'm always extending grace to myself because sometimes it's not in the mental space to do anything. And I want to make sure that I'm okay at what I'm doing, and also I'm okay with how I feel about what I'm doing too. I'm the more of the emo person and me. Well, I think so. More the emo person within our group. Lawrence is nodding his head. I think I'm
Nodding.
more the emo
Pure.
person. Yeah, because I mean, I identify that with myself and I'm okay with it. I just know that I cannot stay in that space, right? You cannot always do things because you don't feel like doing. A lot of times, I mean, I post a video about this as well. I don't feel like going to the gym. Trainer texting me, I just don't feel like it. I'm commuting to work, getting off work, getting my clothes, changing, getting, an energy bar because I'm hungry, right? So I just don't feel like it. And sometimes too, like being in the gym, some guys just look at you like they're crazy, right? So there's little small things you have to kind of adapt and kind of move through. But you kind of, I feel as though giving myself grace to say it's okay to not feel like it. But what do my body need? And I think about that, and I think about how I feel after I'm done with the gym. It's like I've been through all this today and I still got it done. Right. And that makes me feel good. That makes me feel more accomplished. So what I would say is extend grace to yourself. Give yourself that time period to not feel like doing it, but don't stay in that space because that's where the procrastination starts. Because I'm a huge
Yeah.
procrastinator.
The
That's
not
where,
doing, that not doing is addictive. So you can go
yeah,
for like, you hit one day, you like, I didn't do it. The next day, you like, I didn't do it. And by a week or a
yeah,
month later, it hadn't got done. And 3 months later, it's
it
like,
has.
what? I bought the gym membership and it's been burning a hole in my pocket ever since.
Exactly. So don't stay in that space, guys, because it will create a habit of not doing anything at all because you don't feel like doing it. But just give yourself grace. Kind of like assess yourself and what do you feel, but also know that the rewards of doing something that you don't feel like doing, because there is rewards and accomplishment within doing that too.
Yeah, I think there's something to say about the balance between grit and just also alignment of your season. There are some things that you have to plow through, and there are some things that God is really trying to get you back into alignment, and you need the rest. And to me, one of the mantras that I had to pick up in the last couple of months is that rest is a discipline. Some of us are doing way too much. We are overextended. And when we take the time to rest, we get downloads, we get perspective that we wouldn't have gotten if we're moving too fast. And quite honestly, it is sometimes in that stillness that you realize, oh, I'm going about this in a different way and it needs to change, or I need to do better with my health. And one of the biggest things that I've made a decision for me is the not quitting thing is not coming from a place of like toxicity, but it's really realizing patterns of behavior of what blocks me from taking things to the next level. And so I have to identify, when is it that I'm overperforming because I feel like I have something to prove, whether it's to myself or environment, or I'm undertaking too much because I feel whatever feeling it is. And so I think assessment, and I was laughing because most people don't necessarily take pauses to reflect, but I'm one of those people for a very long time, at least the last 10 plus years, that I would assess my quarters. Like I would literally go through, think about my last 90 days and really like kind of jot down things. And I realized that what that did for me was that there were pivotal moments in my life that came from those time of reflection. It came from looking at the last year, looking at the last 90 days, looking at the last 100 days, and like, dang, you are off course. You are not doing the things that fill your cup. You're not doing the things that bring you into greater alignment. And it had to be, I had to remove what I do from who I am and realize that when I'm functioning from being, like being who I am, my character, being true, and not slowing it down or making it, packaging it for people to be able to intake it, I might not be the meal that you need. And it's like, I always think about like how we're always talking about, well, we were talking about this on Clubhouse yesterday, where well, some I think Alana mentioned that some of the guys listening to Lawrence and they're like, oh, okay, I don't know if I like him, but it's just like maybe he's not the meal that you need. Or he may not be the meal that you want.
I am not everybody's snack. Just so you know, it doesn't make any sense.
Wow.
Not the meal that you need.
He's like, I'm married.
Like,
No.
yeah, I am married.
No, not in that context, guys. Do not take it that way. But like, like the nuggets and things that he's saying. So you may not necessarily want it, but you might need it. You might need something different in your palate. And so for me, I'm saying all this to connect it to reflection of taking time, that maybe what you have been intaking is what you quote want, but it's not taking you to the next level. And sometimes the burnout comes from not even not doing, but it comes from doing the wrong things. You may be doing, but you're not necessarily doing things that you're in alignment with. And I take those moments to sit down and to reflect and to say to myself, yo, love, you have been complaining about this. What role did you play into that? What attention that you did not give? And I had to stop saying, well, you know what? Last year I could have done that. It's dead and gone. You have the information. I have the information. I could have done this, but I didn't. What can I do about it today? How can I address it in this moment right now? And as I address more things, as I show up better in quote unquote society for myself, that's what makes me a better person. I function completely differently. And so when you're off your game, you just need to chill sometimes. You need to relax, take a piece of notebook or a piece of paper and literally reflect, put down the areas of your life. Some of them for me is finance, relationships, career, professional relationships, health, spirituality, and I'll write them down. And I'll start to say, what's frustrating me? What's bringing me joy? What's causing me to want to do more? What is something that inspired me? And that's one of the reasons why we're even creating, shameless plug now, I'm gonna shameless plug this in. We're creating a whole brand called Daily Rhythm. And the reason why we want to create Daily Rhythm is to help people figure out their rhythm for their lives, and using products and using technology to be able to help you create better productive rhythms and build better habits for yourself so that you can actually grow. And it's really important for us as a society, especially coming out of COVID, where every system, every rhythm was broken. And so there's no going back to the normal. There is a new normal. There's a new stanza that you have to dance into. And so our goal is to really help people figure out what's causing you to be burnt out, what's causing you to be out of sync, what's causing you to do these different things. And sometimes we're strolling on social media, idolizing different lifestyles, when in reality, you may not even want that lifestyle. You don't know what that person is doing behind closed doors. So cultivate and design your own life so that when you do hit a wall, you might be able to reflect and realize, okay, I'm hitting the wall because I'm off track. I'm hitting the wall because I picked up things I didn't need to pick up, but you won't know that if you're not reflecting.
Yeah, I'll just double down. I guess that's gonna be like my last statement in regards to this for this episode. And recently, I guess every week or so, I have a conversation with friends of mine, and I get some insight. And I tend to learn better from listening to other people's scenarios and understanding where they're coming from. It's almost like I could actually process their situation from the outside in better than they could do from the inside out. With that being said, ever since 2012, my friend been struggling trying to get, like, I guess what he perceives to be his deserved job, right? And I think that's a lot of entitlement in the millennials, or in this day and age in the American society. There's a certain level of like, I deserve this, that, and the third. And that's why you're seeing a lot of people going through the Great Resignation. They're literally telling their bosses, like, you better give me money or all these perks, whatever it is, or I'm leaving. And then all of a sudden just leave, right? And they think that people are hurting other people because they're making these grandiose and provocative statements and basically saying that I deserve this, that, and the third. And ultimately, he's been saying that for years, but I've been telling him that, hey, maybe this is not the route you're supposed to go through. Maybe you need to do something else. And that was 2012. In 2021, about to be 2022, 10 years later, still in the same position, still in the same kind of like stuck in the same place, because he's fighting the fact that sometimes you're not the person in the front seat. Sometimes you're not the CEO. Sometimes you're not the CFO. Sometimes you're just the worker, right? Or sometimes you're just the cog in the piece, or maybe it's not your route, because some people just go online. They start a YouTube and they start talking, and next thing you know, they become multimillionaires. So sometimes that wall that you hit could be a subconscious wall because yourself or maybe your trajectory is trying to tell you this is not the route you're supposed to go to. And you're fighting like hell to get to this route that is not working for the last 10. I personally am not one of those people that put all my efforts and hopes and dreams into just one thing. If it doesn't work out, like you said at the very beginning, like sometimes I kind of swim around. Sometimes I say, hey, maybe I do the self-reflection and say, you know what, maybe that's not my route. Maybe becoming an IG finfluencer, I think that's what the finfluencer or something like that is not maybe part of what I do. But if my end goal is to be a multimillionaire anyways, maybe the route for me is something else and I need to cultivate that more. I need to focus on that more, put in the energy where it needs to be, putting the focus where it needs to be in order for me to move forward. So I think that's what I learned from my friends, especially the people that aren't doing well. And I try to warn them, like for years, I try to tell them like, it's not working. It's like, oh no, it'd be fine. It'd be fine. I'll just do it again. I'm gonna go to the next interview, and it's not working. I'm gonna what they call the millennials will say is like, yeah, you got to negotiate your salary. Don't go in there without negotiate. So he'll add an additional 20% or something like that because that's why he feels like he needs. I'm like, maybe you just need to just take the job. Take the job first, earn your way up, making sure that it happens because you'd be better off if you took my advice years ago and you might be at your destination now. But instead, you've been fighting your way through and it's burning you out. And that's what people are feeling in this day and age. And it's going to happen. And there's one thing that you said that, is it a new normal? I think it's always been normal. There's always been a place where everybody has to pivot. I don't care if you're in the Neolithic era, the ancient era, the modern era, the medieval era. There's always been a challenge that you run into. It doesn't matter, if you think you're millennial, Gen X, or boomer, everybody runs into the same exact point where they have to make choices. They got to pivot and they got to grow. And it ends up being that question for you. Do you stop right then and there? Because the finish line is still wherever it was. It hasn't moved and you got to move to go meet it. So ultimately, get off your, I guess this is the episode where we curse, get off your ASS. I'm not going to say it out loud, but get off your ASS, start moving, start building, take your breather, fall to the ground, rest a little bit if you need to, but get back up again and finish this damn race. At least pass it over to the next person. That's the baton. That's generational wealth right then and there. So that's where I land. Dang, I not say all this land stuff, stupid Clubhouse. Like, go ahead, Lana. Take it from me.
Again, you guys always making some great points and bringing it all in, just doubling down on both what you and Lovely is saying is that I think this is a great time to explore what you like to do outside from the job. Because like Lovely mentioned, it's not what you do for your 9 to 5 is not you, right? For the most part, people want to know what you're doing outside of your position. 'Cause it does cultivate the type of person you're trying to become. Because I remember interviews or speaking to executives and such. A lot of times we're not talking about work. For the most part, we're discussing about things that truly matters in terms of our personal growth, our personal skills, and what we're creating, right? Tangible things, right? I recall having an interview a few years ago, one of my positions, and we were discussing Korea, and we were discussing a English forum contest we were creating for the kids about how do they see the American culture from their eyes, and they were just doing all these things. They're doing all these things to see like how it replicate in being Korean, right? So that was really cool, creating that, seeing that perspective of how my students look at American culture. And we were talking about this, and he kind of seen that glee in my eyes to know that I'm passionate about this, and this is what kind of makes me happy, right? So those are the small nuances where you create these stories, you create these experiences that you want. So coming into 5-6 years later, creating a YouTube, creating the podcast and other things that I'm trying to do for my future is ultimately creating the person that I want. And the burnout for me is not just true burnout, but it's burnout doing stuff I love, right? But we need to kind of understand that if we don't kind of explore other things that we may be interested in, then we're kind of wasting time just thinking that everything just consists of our job, our 9 to 5. Like when I tell people I'm an analyst, they're like, "Oh, okay, cool." They think it's high tech, whatever. And it's not really. But when I tell people I'm a so-called influencer or I do podcast, like, "Oh, what do you guys discuss?" It's like this trigger. People want to know outside of what you're doing. So kind of explore those things and take this time to find out what you're good at. And even if you're not good at it, this is a time to get better at those things as well. So I do encourage you and challenge you to see what you're passionate about, what you like, because it will serve you. I promise you, it will serve you in the future. If not a job, is a next opportunity. If not next opportunity, it's the next relationship that may influence you. There's so many things that can pivot from those exploratory, time that you're doing with yourself. So look into that, tap in.
So many opportunities out there. So you're gonna wrap us up, Lovely. I know you want to make this one a short one.
Yes, I'll wrap us up. And I just want to tell you guys that the best thing that you can do is take an actionable step from every episode as a financial griot. You'll hear me say this every episode. I came in with my rant, but I'm going to come in my sober voice and kind and let you know, like, literally, you are in control more than you think. And there are things that you can't control, but the things that you can control, really take note of them and reflect. Write these things down. Write what you want to be. Write who you want to become. Take the moment to consider that maybe there are things that you're doing that you don't need to be doing. And maybe you're not called to that. And people often talk about the stage, but there is no stage without the back end. There's no stage without the sound guy. There's no stage without the person getting the lights and making sure that whatever play, whatever momentum is going to happen on the stage is happening. And so perhaps the call that you have is not necessarily on the stage, but you make the stage possible. And so you might need to figure out, and there are some of you that are hiding behind the stage and you're being called to speak. You're being called to share your thoughts into this world and into your family, whatever it may be. And you've been in hiding and it's time for you to come out of hiding. So fighting what's naturally already, I always believe this one thing. We came here as children in our mother's bellies, already filled with who we were. There are characteristics and personalities that were just meant for you. And what you come into the world is this ideology of you to conform and to be the same. When you have something in you that's super special, you have something in you that's super unique, but if you don't tap into it, life is always going to seem as if it's really, really hard. Do not fight against it, but flow into who you are. Not who people tell you are, but who you are. And you can't do that without reflection. So my takeaway, my action step is take some time. Shut down your phone for a couple hours. Really think what kind of life you want to live. And really sit there and without the noise, without the things, without the materialistic things, what do you leave? Because when you go into that grave, you're not going with any of it. So focus on the things that are intangible: love, abundance of patience, abundance of kindness, gratitude, generosity, the things that you cannot purchase, the things that you cannot go into the store and say, can you give me like 6 ounces of love? Those are the things that when you draw into them, that makes life different. And so we leave you with think, reflect, become. Another episode of Financial Griot.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap. Man, like I couldn't have said it better. That was on point. I was gonna try to one up it, but I'm just gonna let it ride.
Like, lovely. You always recap it so lovely.
And one day I'm gonna one up it. You'll be like, damn, that's fire too, dog. Like, yeah. But you can find me.
You can just accept it.
I accepted it. Okay, I'm all right. I accepted it. I'm just trying to tell people where they can find me. My name is Lawrence Delva Gonzalez. You can find me on IG or Twitter on the Neighborhood Finance Guy, the entire word all the way through, or online on my website is www.theneighborhoodfinanceguy.com. Where can they find you, Alana?
Hey guys, you can find me on my YouTube at my name Alanta, Alainta. Also on my Instagram, handle is it's Alanta. That's ITS_Alanta, ALAINTA. We are out here. Make sure you subscribe. I'm getting the views. Subscribe to my channel, people. You're
Yeah,
watching.
we're
You're
getting the
not
reviews.
subscribing.
We're getting the reviews and the views. So that's what's up.
Yeah, subscribe to the channel. I won't hurt. I won't bite. I'm always putting out content of gym motivation, self development, also finances. I'm always getting my own personal knowledge and things that I have been through. So this is not knowledge of just out in the ether. I don't live with my parents or anything. Just giving you like non-existent financial advice. It's not anything like that. This is personal growth development that I'm sharing with you guys, and I just hope someday that people will be inspired to kind of push and motivate and do for themselves, right? So make sure you subscribe to the channel. I know you guys are watching. Just click subscribe. I'm out here.
All right.
All righty, guys. Nice episode.
Always.
Yep.
Thank you for listening to the Financial Griot podcast, powered by the Wealth Builders Collective.